Here we are then.
Finally, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just relaxing in my bedroom, just
I
hanging out. I made my family some dinner and just waiting to talk to you. I had a couple of big announcements today that I was really excited about.
I know
Uh,
I saw.
yeah, so that was it was like Christmas, that I had two announcements in the same day about two fun projects that I'm doing.
Well,
So I was, yeah.
well, let's like get right into it.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
Take it away, Ivotres.
well, before we get into those big announcements, which are some
Okay.
really big ones. So if you guys haven't heard, wait till you hear them. They're so awesome. And first of all, I have to say thank you so much for doing this. I know you have a busy life and you took the time to do this. I want to say I'm
Sure.
so honored to talk to you. Like it's
Well,
like
I think you're so cute and adorable, Ivotres, and I and it was funny because I mean, I post things on social media, but then sometimes I just scroll through like everybody else and I see what everybody's doing. And somebody mentioned you. I didn't know who you were or anything, and then I just clicked on your profile on Twitter, and I don't know, you said something, you had a video on there or something, and you said something so lovely about how much you love horror and how much it means to you. And it was just so
mm.
heartfelt. And I just thought you were so bubbly. I just thought you were the cutest thing. And I said, I like that woman. So then I started following you. And then you reached out to me and said, can I do a review of Reanimator? Would you do like a little commercial for me or something? So anyway, we worked on that and that was really fun. I got my daughter involved. She was the camera person and I had such fun with that. So thank you for doing that
Oh,
as well.
yeah. You know, because I wanted to do that review for so long, and I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask Barbara if she wants. The worst she could say is no or don't answer. So I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
give it a shot. And when I messaged you, it was like, and then you messaged back. I was like sweating. I was like, oh my god, this I can't wait. Wait, is this really gonna happen? And then I talked to
Yeah.
you, and I wrote a little script. And I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure because there's no way I could like see what you're doing and when
Hmm.
you're going to do it. So I was like, I got to make it detailed enough so she can understand
Yep.
exactly what I wanted. But I'm like, she's an actress. She reads scripts all the time. She's perfect.
Yeah. Well, no, you gave me very good direction and what you wanted from me. And I tried to do it exactly to your specifications. And I hope I did. So I
Oh,
think
you
it turned
did.
out well. I think
Yeah,
it turned out, it was
it
cute. It was
really
super
did.
cute. Yeah.
Because I was like nervous and I was like, because I already filmed everything and I was put
Yeah.
everything away. And I was like, okay, let's see. And then when you sent it to me, I was like, oh my god, oh my god. And then I pressed it
Yeah.
and watched it. I was like, it was exactly how I wrote it.
Oh, good.
Exactly. And I
I'm
was
glad.
like, this girl is queen. She is queen.
Well, thank you. Oh my God. Thank you so much.
And
Yeah.
everybody just loved it. You know, they was like, how did you get Barbara? Oh my god, how did you get it? All I did was ask.
Well, also, but you present yourself in such a way that you were very engaging and very open and very sincere, and I could tell really from your heart that you are so passionate about the horror genre. And I love that you loved Reanimator. And I don't know, there was just realistically, there was just something about you that I went,
Oh.
okay. People ask me a lot of times, oh, would you do something for me? And I can't do everything, but every once in a while, you know, somebody speaks to me and I go, yeah, okay, I'm going to do that. So, you have that spark yourself. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Um, and because when I was making it, I was like, I need the music, and I
Oh,
know I don't have the
uh-huh.
rights for the music, so I
Yeah.
contacted Richard Band, and
Right. You did?
he
I didn't know
actually get
that.
yeah I met him a few times,
Yeah.
and I met his brother Charles Band. He was
Hmm.
a couple of times, and he
In
signed some
person?
stuff for
You met
me.
him in
Yeah,
person?
in person.
Oh, at a
Charles,
convention or something?
yeah, Charles Band was at a convention and he had like some figures. I was like, who created this and whose idea? And it was like, oh, sure, Charles Band is right here. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And he walked on over and I was like, and we had such a good conversation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's when I decided that I wanted to do something like this.
Oh,
Talk to
really?
celebrities, go behind the scenes. Yeah, at that
How
moment,
long ago was this?
there was probably 5.5 years, 6 years,
Oh,
almost.
so you've been doing this a while. Yeah.
Uh,
I didn't know.
horror movies and beyond. I just started that last year, but I started a blog talking to celebrities and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I never had a chance to see you in person,
Yeah.
of
Where do
course.
you live
So
again? Because
I,
yeah.
I live just outside of LA, of
Okay.
Los
So
Angeles. Yeah,
you just I was probably at a few conventions in LA, but maybe you were just never there at the time I was there. Like
probably.
at
I
Monster, what is it? Monster
Monster Palooza,
Palooza. Yeah.
but I think it was always I could only go certain days and then
Mm.
only certain people, certain times and stuff. So it
Yeah.
never, believe me, I would have went over there.
Yeah. No, I don't
but
feel slighted
but
or anything. That's fine.
so it just happened, and then I met Richard Band. I'm not sure where did I think it was at a convention, and then I saw him again at the Killer Clowns event, and I took pictures with him, and he was like, "Oh, I remember you." And then I asked, we're Facebook friends, and I
Yeah.
asked him, I was like, "Hey, I really do want to use your music because Barbara's going to be in it, and it's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
perfection."
Yeah.
And he actually gave me permission. I said, "Yeah, you could use it this amount," and that's so I only could
Yeah.
use a minute of it.
Uh-huh.
So that's where you came in. So I only used it at that moment for you.
Awesome.
So
I'm
I
glad
saved it
that'll
the best for last.
well, yeah. The funny thing is, I mean, the thing is like, Richard is a fan of the genre. I'm a fan of the genre as well as working in it. And we love it when, bloggers or journalists or fans or whatever tell us how much they love our movies. And I feel like we're all in this community together. So we kind of all belong together, and I think that's a nice story that you were able to reach out to me and also to Richard and you met Charlie and all that, and I'm sure you've met a lot of other people too in the last
Hmm.
5 years. So I mean, it's kind of rewarding for all of us, I think, to get to know
Yeah,
one another. Yeah.
it yeah, it definitely is, and it's just exciting to talk to people more. Like, okay, yeah, you were in these movies, they're great, but I'm always about the story behind everything, because the
Mhm.
struggles and the hardships and the fun times on set and the bloopers, I think
Yeah.
those what makes it valuable, makes it
Yeah.
gold,
The
because there's so
journey.
many.
Talking
Yeah,
about the journey. How did
the
we?
journey,
Yeah.
because there's so many filmmakers, especially horror filmmakers, it's like, oh, it has to be perfect, it has to be that. I'm like, you'd be surprised how many mistakes happen and they capture it and it's perfect. You
Yeah.
just gotta have fun with it, and
Yeah.
don't take
Show up.
yourself
Be
too seriously.
present. Yeah.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and be helpful, and love what you do, love what you do, and just have fun. And that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do. Like,
Yeah.
horror is fun
It is
and
fun.
creative.
It is
Yeah.
creative, yeah. I mean, I think you can tell any kind of story with horror elements, and I think it speaks to deep emotions within ourselves because, you know, we all feel love very
Hmm.
much in our hearts and souls, and we all feel fear very much in our hearts and souls. And if you can kind of, we like comedies. I like comedies as much as the next person, but I also like to experience problems, chaos, tragedy in horror movies, and I feel like I don't know, it seems like it sort of um, prepares me for the worst in my own life. I'm not
Hmm.
so afraid when I can watch horror movies and I can go through something with a hero or a heroine and get to the other side and get through it and just kind of go on that ride with them and overcome whatever struggles I might be watching that they might be having on
Hmm.
screen. So I actually think, you know, uh, people who watch horror movies are more, self-actualized than a lot of other people. I think, we're just ready. We're ready, for whatever's coming.
Exactly. One thing I always wanted to ask, it seems like almost the whole cast works. I mean, you guys must have been a tight family, especially like
Yeah.
Reanimator, From Beyond. You guys can continue to work together during that
Right.
time with Stuart Gordon and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
it's really,
how
yeah.
was how was that? Like, was it like you guys were like brother and sister, and like that close, and just a big family? And how was that experience? Like, you work from one to the
Yeah.
next, and you are always different character. It's like you watch
Yeah.
Reanimator, and you watch Megan, and then you watch, From Beyond, and it's like night and day. All of you
Yeah.
guys. I mean, it was just amazing. Even though you
Yeah.
were the same group of people, and most of them, it's like watching a whole different
Yeah.
cast.
I mean, I definitely appreciated that, to play a completely different character than I had played in Reanimator. I loved my character in Reanimator, but I also really appreciated playing something completely different, because actors do feel like sometimes they get pigeonholed playing a particular kind of role. And I didn't, from the get-go. Playing Catherine McMichaels in From Beyond
Mm,
was completely different, and much stronger and more in control and more driving the action. And it was kind of like with From Beyond, Jeffrey and I switched roles. He was the mad
mm,
scientist in Reanimator, and I was sort of the mad psychiatrist in From Beyond. But to talk to your earlier question, yeah, just for the audition process for Reanimator, I wasn't the first Meg that was cast in that role. They had a casting session, and I wasn't involved in that. And another girl had gotten the part.
really?
And then her mother read the script, and her mother said, "Oh, no, you're not doing this." Because I don't
Mm,
know, I guess she thought it was too risque or too freaky or scary or whatever. And so she dropped out, and then they had another casting session, and I was brought in to read with Jeffrey and Bruce. And I believe Jeffrey already had the role. I'm not sure if Bruce had the role or not. But anyway, I there was a few other gals there, and I read with the both of them. And Stuart, being from the theater and loving rehearsals as much as he did, and all of that, he brought us in, and we would do the scene, and then he would say, "Okay, I'm going to give you guys some direction." He would make some adjustments. He said, "Think about that. Go out, work on that, come back in." I think I was there for 3 hours. I was there for a very long time. And towards the end of the day, or the time that I was there was less and less girls there. I just kept being asked to stay. Um, and I remember thinking at the time that Jeffrey and Bruce were so good in their parts. And I didn't know that Jeffrey had the part already. And I thought to myself, oh my God, that guy is so good. I hope he gets the part, because he should get the part. He's amazing. Um, and then, I guess I was told like the next day or something I had the part. And then,
oh.
yeah. And then we had rehearsals for Reanimator for 3 weeks. I don't know if you're aware of that, but we rehearsed that movie for 3 weeks in my living room, because I somehow had the biggest living room. And everybody came over to my house every day for 3 weeks. And then we started filming, and, we didn't know what we had with Reanimator. I was happy to have a job as an actor. I liked the script. I thought it was fun, but basically if somebody asked me to be in a movie, whatever it was, I would have said yes. Um,
Hmm.
and I think we were unprepared for how well it was going to do. And, of course we're, immensely gratified, that it's done so well over the years. But I think we all worked together very well. All of us, Bruce and Jeffrey and myself, were all from the theater. And so we liked rehearsal. We liked having that direct contact with Stuart Gordon, who's a very
Hmm.
hands-on director. And I think that helped our performances as well. Very soon after Reanimator opened and did so well, and we got some great reviews, I got the call, well, we have another Lovecraft script, and we want to go to Italy and film that. And would you
Oh,
like to
wow.
do it? And yeah, and I hadn't been out of the country ever in my life. So
Hmm.
that was my first time being out of the country, going to shoot From Beyond. Unfortunately, there wasn't a part Jeff, for Bruce in that movie, but you know, Stuart asked Jeffrey and myself to go over and you know, and do the movie. And I remember flying over to Rome, just waking up, you know, on the plane and going into the heart of the old city and feeling like, wow, I'm in a completely different universe. It was so exciting. It was really cool. It was really
It
cool.
sounds exciting. Sounds like I want to be there. I've never been out of the country.
Oh no! Oh
So
my God, you have to go.
no,
Well, you can't go now
I know,
with the
yeah.
pandemic, but
When the
if you
tickets
could
are
go
super
anywhere,
cheap.
where would you go? What?
The tickets are super cheap now and you can't even
Yeah,
leave.
I know. Well, they probably will be when things lift.
Yeah,
You know,
hopefully.
I think they will be for a while. Where would you go if you could go anywhere?
Oh my goodness, out of the country.
Yeah.
Probably like London,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, Europe. Europe.
Yeah.
I definitely would go to the art museums and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
I love that stuff.
Mhm.
So let's get into these big surprises that you have.
Okay.
These. Oh my goodness. So obviously, I got so surprised, I almost knocked down my phone just now. I was like, oh my God. So, Creepshow. Let's start with
Yeah.
Creepshow. Oh my goodness. So
I'm
I
so
saw the first
excited.
season
Hmm.
and there were some really creepy elements in that one.
Yeah.
And
And
it
Jeffrey
was,
Combs was in one of the episodes too.
yeah, yeah, when I was watching them, I was like, it just reminded me of the original Creepshow. I
Yeah.
mean, both of them was creepy, but I think number two was the worst for me. I mean, you had Chief Woodenhead, that was scary alone, and the Raft.
Yeah.
Those two were the creep. Oh well, then you had the Hitchhiker. I mean, well, they're all good, all of them.
Hmm.
So tell me how. I mean, how did you? I mean, how excited are you for Creepshow too? I mean,
I'm really excited. And I'm not supposed to say who the
nothing.
director of my episode is,
Yes.
but um, the director reached out to me and he said, I'm going to suggest you to Greg Nicotero at Creepshow because
Yeah.
I think you'd be perfect for my episode. And I said, oh my God, that'd be awesome. I'd love to work with you and I'd love to be on the show because I love the first season too. And I love all the old movies. And, you know, I mean, I've been, you know, following the history of Creepshow for years. So,
Hmm.
I mean, to be able to possibly be in an episode is like being part of horror history, I think. And I obviously I want to continue working in the genre for a long time. So that came as a surprise to me, and then sort of out of the blue. And the director said, "Well, they're into the idea, so I think they're going to make an offer to your agent." Blah blah blah. Anyway, my part is very cool, and I got to go there just about a month ago or so, and filmed my episode. I was in Atlanta. That's where they do it.
Mm.
And, you know, we're doing it during a pandemic. So it was my first foray back into working again on a set where I had to wear a mask and be tested before I got on the plane. As soon as I got off the plane, I had to be tested before I could be brought to the set. And then they took my temperature, and, you know, I could only take my mask off when I was having my makeup put on. And everybody was being amazing and so careful. And I mean, I was just also, just aside from that, I was just so happy to be on that set. They shoot it at some sound stages.
Hmm.
They're not on location. I don't know if they ever shoot on location. They might shoot some, but everything was on a stage. And all the special effects crew had their room that they were making all this stuff, you know, because every episode has a creature or something amazing.
Yes.
Um, with practical special effects that, you know, I love. And as a little aside, you know, Greg Nicotero also worked on From Beyond. So that, you know, it's like coming full circle. I love practical special effects, and I was just mesmerized by, you know, looking at all the stuff they were working on. And
Mm.
it was just really cool. And the crew was amazing. And I just had such a lovely, wonderful time. I'm so grateful, really.
You know, that's why I always say horror is such a tight family. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody. I mean, you would never thought you're at home or out and about. You get a phone call, and then you go to the, and it's like, oh wow, I worked with these people before. They worked,
Yeah.
so it's that sense of comfort, especially at this time. You
Hmm.
know, that's such a great feeling, and
Yeah. It's
I
like,
cannot wait
yeah.
to see
And
it.
it's like, I mean, and even talking about Jeffrey and Bruce and working with Stuart, you know, and his wife Carolyn, it's like you never know in your life when you're working on something what it's going to mean to you in the
Mhm.
future. And you know, just working with the people that I've worked with in my life, I'm so grateful. And it's my horror career has just meant so much to me. And I look back on it now and I see where it all started. And I didn't know what my life was going to be when I did all those movies way back when. I didn't know that I
Mhm.
was going to be working in the horror genre 30 years later. I I had no idea. I mean, I was just an actress who loved movies and loved telling stories, and then to look back and say, oh wow, there was something back then. There was a sign of what was to come, you know. And I
Mhm.
don't know, it's just like, you know, the older you get, I guess you think about things like this as you look back on your life, you
Well,
know.
I just have to say, 30 years later, it looked like you haven't aged a bit.
Ah, ah, thanks.
I mean, you haven't. I don't
Oh,
know what else to say, but
thanks.
you look wonderful.
Thanks. I stay out
I
of the sun and I get peels. That's my secret. I
oh,
get peels. I
I
get,
did hear staying out of the sun works
yeah.
wonders on the skin.
Yeah, I wear big hats. I've worn sunscreen for 30 years, and you know, I get Brett Glam is commenting, what are you saying, Brett? But Brett Glam, he's a master at eyebrows, and he did my makeup for a recent shoot that I did. He's amazing. Anyway, hi Brett, glad you're here. Um, but
So that
peels,
oh, go
that's
ahead.
the big thing. Just do a
Yeah,
peel every 3 months.
I do
Your skin is
somewhat of a
beautiful.
pill.
Your skin is beautiful.
Oh, this is a mask of paint.
Oh, what?
no,
Oh my goodness.
no, no. I try to do as much as I can on my face because, you know, I can't buy the expensive stuff the way I want to. So I found ways on YouTube and Google,
Uh-huh.
you know, of makeup artists, get this and get that. So I kind of do a scrub once in a while. And when you do a scrub, it takes
Mhm.
that extra,
Does.
that layer of skin. You're just like, wow, I got baby skin again.
I'm telling you, I scrub my face with a mild scrub every day in the shower. Every day I scrub my face to get the exfoliation away. Sorry, we're digressing into
Some
cleansing
good
techniques.
skincare. You hear
Yeah,
that,
skincare.
guys?
Yeah, it's good skincare. Yeah. Yeah.
So, in the next
Yeah.
project, Superhost,
Superhost. Yeah.
and that one I'm excited about because the director. I mean, if you watched Z on Shutter,
Yeah.
which there's so much, Stillborn, Z, and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
But
Brandon Christensen.
yes,
Yeah.
and I love Z on
I
Shutter.
know, me
So
too.
when I
It was
watched that, it was very it was like one way and then it went this way in the
mhm.
direction like I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
very good, very good.
It was scary. And, you know, a lot of people make horror movies, right? And I've
Hmm.
been in a few. Some of the movies I'm in are scary. Some of them are not. They're, you know, whatever. They have a different flavor about them. And they all have value. Uh, I do feel like Brandon Christensen is very good at making things scary. And I liked both stories that he told. And then I
Hmm.
read this, and I was friendly with him just on social media, like one is. And then he sent me the script for Superhost, and he said, "What do you think about playing this part?" Blah blah blah. I read it, and I'm like, "Oh my God, this guy, you know, had two great movies before, Stillborn and Z." And then I read this script, I'm like, "This script is great too." And I read the script, and I said, "Yeah, I want to do this." I was really scared by your last two movies, and I think they were great. And yes, when do you need me there? I'll be there as soon as possible. And so Superhost. So we just finished filming. We shot the movie, the outskirts of Las Vegas.
Oh,
It was so
wow.
weird. It was so weird to fly to Las Vegas and drive by the strip and just see not a lot going on there, and then drive into the mountains of Las Vegas, and we shot up there.
So is there
Yeah.
anything you could tell us about Superhost? Like anything?
Well,
What should we expect? I know
uh-huh.
you can't say much, but is it
Well, well, let's see. I can say that I mean, an announcement came out today and there was a little blurb about it, so I can kind of tell you what that said, and maybe I could tell you a little bit more. But it's about these two travel um, bloggers. They go to different Airbnbs, and then they talk about them and their experiences there. And it's only four characters in the movie, so it's these two people that are the travel vloggers, and then there's a host of an Airbnb, and then there's another person, and I won't tell you what I play, but
Mhm.
um, you know, things. Let me just say this: things aren't as they seem. So, and be careful when you
Mm.
rent an Airbnb because you never know what.
What I've always wanted to ask,
Mhm,
when you were on the set of Reanimator, Chopping Mall, From Beyond, Castle
mhm,
Freak, was there anything funny or hilarious that would happen on the sets? Because when you watch the movies, it just seems so serious and you're
mhm.
into the roles, but
Yeah.
the bloopers alone, I think that's what makes the movie. Blooper moments that happen on
Any
there
blooper?
that
Oh,
just
I don't
happen.
know. Oh, you're putting me
Oh,
on the
no,
spot.
no, okay,
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't prepared. I don't know. I don't know. I, I
Okay.
will. I will just say that on all the movies that I worked on with Stewart, he
Uh-huh.
was a jokesman. He was a joke
Okay.
teller, and I think a lot of the humor that comes out of Reanimator is mostly Jeffrey, but um, Stewart created an atmosphere on the set, on all the sets that was very congenial and really
Mm-hmm.
friendly and very, very fun. And whenever you'd say something, Stewart would always think, what's funny about this moment? What's funny about what she just said or what that person just said? And he would always have a running commentary or a running joke about um, what was funny, and I really enjoyed that. So will that suffice?
Yeah.
Can I say
Hey,
that? Yeah,
hey, hey,
yeah,
that works just the same.
yeah, yeah.
For a lot of the dialogue on those movies, was it like scripted from word for word, or you guys did a lot of
Oh, that's a
improv? Was
good
there
question. That is a
there's
very good question, Ivotres. Very good
okay.
question. Oh, one
Yay!
second. Yeah. Sometimes you work with people and they want you to say exactly what's written. So I feel as an actor, you kind of have to go with whatever your director wants you to do, you know? Working with Stuart Gordon, he was very much the person that wanted you to say the words exactly as written. Sometimes say, well, how about if I said this or I said that, or how about if I did this instead of that? And he had such a clear vision in his mind of what he wanted you to do and how it should go, that it was very hard to deviate from his vision. That's fine. That's fine. I'm in your movie. I'm going to do whatever you need me to do. That's my job, really, is to serve the director and the story. So um, I tried not to deviate from that. There were certain times when, like in From Beyond, I have a flashlight, and I'm going down the stairs or up the stairs. Oh, it was down the stairs into the basement with Bubba, talking to or watching Dr. Pretorius or something on the screen or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, when you watch a Stuart Gordon movie, I think you can tell there is an energy, there's a flavor, there's a bigness, there's an operatic feel to it. You know, there's a sense of like a fullness. And he came from the stage directly working on movies. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of almost feel like you're in a stage play when you're working with him. So that was his style. And he, you know, he was a master at it. And so I just did whatever he wanted me to do. Then you work with somebody like Adam Wingard or Simon Barrett on your next, where I showed up on the set and Simon Barrett came up to me and said, "Do you like what you're saying, Barbara? Because if you don't like what you're saying, you can say something else or we can talk about it. And,
Oh.
you know, feel free to change your lines or change whatever you want or talk to me about it." And, you know, I mean, nobody had ever given me that level of freedom before. Usually if I want to change something, sometimes I'll go through the script and I'll think, I don't know, that doesn't really sound how someone would speak, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if I want to put it into my own voice and for it to make sense to me, I'll suggest and I'll ask, may I say this like this or like that? And people will say generally yes, or they'll give me another suggestion of how they think I could say it that would kind of, you know, fit into both of our views. But
Mm-hmm.
with Simon, it was like anything goes. I mean, you could just make up stuff. And I remember feeling quite intimidated by that when I worked on Your Next, because
Mm.
I just hadn't really worked that way. But I saw like Amy Seimetz was on that movie, and I saw Ty West and especially Joe Swanberg and AJ Bowen like completely riffing off one another and going off and saying this stuff. And I mean, it was actually pretty thrilling to watch, you know, it was pretty
Mm-hmm.
and a really fun way to work and a very free way to work. So I think there's a happy medium probably somewhere in there of where I like to work. You know, I mean, I like people to give me the dialogue. I'm really studying my dialogue, but I also want to be able to have maybe some freedom to change it
Yeah.
like I want to. A very good question, because I do think it's different for everybody.
Oh.
So I think there's probably a happy medium somewhere.
Do you do you find it difficult that you have more freedom, or is it like scripted? Because I think script for me, I would think scripted is like you don't have to think too much of, oh my God, what should I say? Like it's right there versus, oh, you could say anything. You're like, okay,
Right,
what line can I say that will
right,
they approve of?
right.
Do you find that difficult?
Well, before I memorize it, I
Mm-hmm.
go through it and I think, oh, I'd really kind of like to change this a little bit. So I'll make a little margin in my script and a little arrow, and I'll write down what I think I should say. And then I'll ask before I have to memorize it. I'll say, I have these script changes. What do you think? If you don't like it, it's fine. I'll say it as written, but this is what I'd like to say, and let me tell you why. Or, you know, mostly it's because I just think it sounds more natural coming out of my,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I, you know, I think sometimes I will improvise on the day, on the set. And the only way I really feel comfortable doing that is if I know my lines inside and out, and if I know the other person's lines. So I kind
Mm-hmm.
of really make it a point. Some people memorize on the day or the night before or the morning of. I don't have that facility to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Really don't. I think it's remarkable that people can do that. I've worked with people even recently um, that did that on the day, and I'm like, oh my God, I'd be sweating bullets. I so that I would forget my lines, and I always want to be prepared, and you know, I don't want to hold anybody up. I don't want to make mistakes, so I want to know my lines. Willing to try something else, and then a director will say, oh, why don't we, you know, on this next one we have that already. Why don't you try something else? Or they'll suggest something, and we'll just go with it. And
So I wanted to ask you, being an actress for so many years, what is the one thing that you've learned that being an actress that really stick with you the entire process of when in your films? Like what, you know, like, I don't know, like what do you take away every performance? Like what do you learn out of it about yourself?
yeah, well, it's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's mostly about psychology, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
probably empathy. to try, because with every character, you have to try to understand and justify what people are doing and why they do the things they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for every character, I just have to dig into the psychology of who they are and understand where they came from. And I think that kind of, I hope that it makes me more empathetic towards everyday people in my general life. I don't know. I mean, I think actors are probably somewhat empathetic. I don't know. I hear stories about some actors who people say aren't very nice people, but generally speaking,
Mm-hmm.
most of the actors that I know and that I'm friends with are pretty, deeply feeling, empathetic people who think a lot about right and wrong and, you know, um, the way people conduct themselves and how they feel about that. And so I feel like I'm a mini psychologist in a way, working
Mm-hmm.
on different roles and trying to understand human nature. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, Barbara. That was so deep.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful to hear. Like, you really do get into what you need to do to understand the characters you play. And I really do appreciate that. I mean, I really do. Um, but I want to say thank you so much for being here,
Oh, yeah.
talking with me. This is mind blowing. I was this little girl watching,
Oh,
Reanimator and From Beyond, and all these Castle Freak and everything, and then I'm talking to you. I almost want to cry because
oh my God.
I would
That's,
have, like you said, you never know what your
never
life.
know.
You never know, and I'm
Yeah. And look
beyond
at you.
words.
You met Charles Band, and then you met Richard Band, and then you started this, you have your different sites. You have Twitter and you have Instagram,
Mhm.
and you're talking to people, and you've become a you're there. I mean, you're a journalist. You're talking about movies because you were a fan of the genre, and now here you
Mhm.
are just talking to people and talking about movies, and people are like, oh, I wonder what Ivotres thinks of that movie. So now they're looking up to hear what you say about it. So isn't
Yeah.
that cool? That's really cool.
It is. It really is. And I also met Jeffrey Combs, and he signed my poster.
Uh-huh.
So I got to get everybody else to sign it.
Okay.
So that was an experience, a very good experience. He's
Well,
so
okay.
awesome, so
Well,
sweet.
the next time I'm in LA, we should have coffee or something and bring the poster, and then I'll sign it for you. Then
Okay,
you'll have
okay,
it.
I won't be able to hold back the tears. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. So,
Yeah.
oh my goodness,
Thanks for having me
Creepshow.
on your
Oh
show.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Creepshow. Oh my goodness, I can't even talk after that. Season 2. Barbara Crampton is in it. So I mean, so many others. Ashley Lawrence. There's
Yeah.
um,
Keith
Keith David.
David.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
there's so many of you guys, and I can't wait. We cannot wait. The first one was great.
Yeah.
The second one is going to be even fabulous.
I hope so.
and
Thank
look
you.
and look out for Superhost too. It's
Yes.
Barbara
And
Crampton,
Jacob's Wife.
everybody.
Shout out to Jacob's Wife, this movie that I just finished filming as well, that we're in post on. So that's going to come out next year as well.
Definitely follow her, Twitter, everything. She's amazing. Barbara Crampton, everybody.
All love to
Yay!
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You
Bye.
have a wonderful evening.